Welcome to the 2020 Linn County Virtual Fair 4-H FFA Swine Show.
Our first division is market pigs, and the first class is individual market barrel lightweight with 9 entries. And this is our first entry.
You can just keep rolling right into the next ones if you want.
Okay, this is entry 778.
Okay.
This is entry 866. This is entry 993. This is entry 1004. Entry 1154. This is entry 1286. This is entry 1320. And the last entry of this class is 1347. So the next 3 slides will each have 3 exhibitors on each slide with their videos playing at the same time. And these are the first 3 entries of the class. Here are the second set of entries from this class. And here are the final 3 entries from this class. And on this slide here, just know that it looks like the top 2 videos are flip-flops. So the video on the left goes with the entry number that's on the right and vice versa. So if you're using that to address entry numbers, they are switched around. Okay, and this is the end of the class. So we can use this time to give placings and ribbons for these 9 entries.
Awfully competitive class to start off this show with. In my mind, the top 3 bears are awfully nice and can be competitive about anywhere. I like the 635 bear to start the drive. One that I think is super stout featured. He's really rugged in terms of his design. Big feet, big legs. Just really love the stoutness that this guy brings to the table. He's super square coming and going. Just a lot of things I like about this bear. I'd like to maybe change him just a little bit. Right there at his ham-loin junction, maybe just stouten him up, make him blend a little bit better right there. And he might not be the freshest bear when you study him right at the top of his shoulder, but this bear has got an awful lot of good. A lot of things I like about him. Nice bear to start off the class. The bear I'm going to put in second here, young lady's crinkled ear bear, lot number 1286, I believe. Really like this bear. I think he's super complete. He's good balance. Offers a ton of eye appeal. Young lady does a tremendous job driving him, keeping his head up. He's extremely tall-shouldered. A lot of things I like about this bear. I don't think maybe he's out there in terms of his bone work, in terms of his mass to his bone work is the bear starting to drive, but a lot of things I like about this bear as well. Young lady's blue roan bear, I'm going to have third. I believe his lot number is 778. Bear that's super square when you study him from the ground up. A bear that's got a big square back, big square hip laid in him. Just a really stout, open-ended kind of a bear. He's maybe isn't quite as big in terms of his design. Maybe not quite as square right there at the top of his shoulder, but an awfully nice bear to be in third. Bear in fourth, lot number 104, is another one that's really opened up. He's really a thick-ended kind of a bear. I think maybe he's carrying a little too much cover for me today. Needs to be a little quicker in terms of his maturity. Bear that I just like to trim him up a little bit. to move him on up in the drive. But a young man has done an awfully good job presenting this Barra and getting him ready for the show here today. Barra in fifth, lot number 993. Another heavy bone, good design kind of a Barra. I think he just runs out of power, runs out of juice. We just need to give him a shot more muscle as he gets a little plainer in his shape. But a nice class of Barras to start off the drive. I believe we are going to award all of these kids the blue ribbon that participated in this class.
Okay, our next class is individual market barrow medium weight. We do have 21 entries that have been split into 3 class breaks. So there'll be 7 in each of them. The first entry is 524. The next entry is 614. The next entry is 697. The next entry is 780. Next entry is 865. Next entry is 890. And the final entry of this part of the class is entry 947. Here are the first 4 entries. And here are the second set of entries. And you can begin placing whenever you're ready.
Okay, let's do all blue ribbons on the ones in this class, and then I think I'm just going to pull out 947 and 524
Okay.
to go to the final round. I'd like to just mention a couple of the other barras that were in contention or that I liked quite a bit. Young man 614 Barra. Being the top right there, that's one that I really appreciate for how stout and opened up he is. Really a thick-ended kind of a Barra. I read him maybe as just being a little quicker in his maturity, but a Barra that's got a lot of neat pieces to him. Young man's 890 Barra is one that I absolutely love his design. I love him on the profile. Really sleek and clean about his front end, especially up through his neck. A heavy boned, square, sound, good design kind of a Barra. I like that Barra an awful lot as well. Congratulations to those two exhibitors that are moving on.
Okay, so here's a second set of 7 entries for the medium weight. This is entry 950. This is entry 958. Entry 959. This is entry 967. This is entry 991. This is entry 1005. And the final entry is 1007. And here are the first 4 entries from this class break. If you're ready to place, you can begin whenever you're ready.
Okay, I'm going to pull 2 more out of this class. I think we're going to give all these exhibitors blue ribbons as well. The first bear I want to pull out is number 991, the blue-backed, blue-butted bear. Second bear I want to pull out is number 959, the painted up bear. And then a couple of them I'd just like to mention. The bear, I believe it's 967. This is a bear you really have to appreciate for just being, this one's built like a Mack truck. He's really, really opened up, coming and going. A bear that's just got a lot of product and a lot of mass laid in him. And the bear at 950. 950 is one that really offers a lot of look and a really good design. A bear that's tall shouldered, a bear that's good in his angles, good on his feet and legs. A bear that I appreciate a lot about. Congratulations to all these. Another nice class of crossbred bears.
And here's our last group of 7 entries for the medium weight, and this is entry 1021. So this is entry 1039. This is entry 1124. is entry 1200. This is entry 1214. This is entry 1288. And the final entry is 1300. And here are the first 4 entries from this class. You can begin placing whenever you're ready.
Let's do blue ribbons on all of these as well. Can you hear me okay?
Mhm.
Okay. Let's go ahead and do blue ribbons on all of these. The 2 bears that I want to pull out to move on to the next round are 2 belted bears, number 1039 and 1300. And then a couple that I just want to make mention of. Young ladies, number 1288, Blue Butt Barra is one that I like an awful lot. One that I really love. The front 2/3 of this one, the look and the design and the build that he has, one that's got some shape when you set him up high, especially when you kind of get back through his hip and rump. But I think that's also where he needs fixed, where he needs changed. I'd like to make him a little more comfortable on the rear two, give him a little more flex and a little more push off of those rear two to move him on up. But a nice Barra there that she's driving. Young ladies, Barra number 1214 is another one that I like an awful lot, just in terms of its build and design. One that's super correct, balances up extremely well. This is a Barra that I think he looks to me like he's in the wrong class. He looks to me like he's the lightest of this set. Therefore, he doesn't quite have the mass and doesn't quite have the power, especially when you study him through his bone work. Is the ones that are going to go ahead and advance in this class. Nice class. Congratulations to those exhibitors.
Okay, so the slide I have pulled up here is the top two from each of the class breaks you selected, and I believe we have it that the first place that you awarded is on top and the second place is on the bottom row. And now we're asking for you to pick your first, second overall.
Okay. We get the two pulled out for the final, I believe this is medium weight division here. This really makes for an interesting class. I think we have a trio here that are awfully competitive, awfully good kind of a Barras. The one Barra that kind of sticks out in my mind or kind of makes his way to the top is the young lady's entry number 991. I really like a lot of things about this guy. This guy's opened up. He's got a big shoulder, big blade, big chest, big top. A Barra that's still clean up through his front end. A Barra that's still kind of youthful in his appearance. A Barra that's really square when he plants and drives away from you. Nice Barra to start off this drive. Young man's blue Barra in second is going to be entry number 947. A Barra that I read a lot of similarities as our class winner. To me, he gets a little tighter in terms of his forerib. He doesn't quite have the spring rib as our class winner does. If I could change him right there, I think he'd be right up there in the hunt. A Barra that's really interesting in my mind. A Barra that I've had anywhere from first all the way to third in this drive is the young lady's entry number 1039. This Barra is really massive, really opened up, really robust when you study him from his chest all the way back to his tail. A Barra that I just like to clean him up a little bit, especially when you study him up through his jowl area and when you study him over his loin edge. A Barra that I think maybe is getting just a little bit past his prime, but still a square made, really robust, really opened up Barra that handles it extremely well. The Barra that I've gotten fourth here, entry number 959, is a Barra that's very interesting. A Barra that I absolutely love the structure, the bigness of his foot and his bone. A Barra that plant and drives with a ton of authority as the young lady drives him around here, and she does a tremendous job keeping his head up. Just really love the look and the design and the eye appeal that this guy has when she gets his head up and gets him moving from the profile. But a Barra that I think just gets outpowered when you study him from his shoulder back. A Barra that's a little bit flatter in terms of his forerib, but certainly a nice Barra to be fourth. Young man's Barra entry number 1300 will be fifth in this particular class. A Barra that's a little bigger in terms of his outline. A Barra that's got a ton of shape when you study him up high. But again, a Barra that if you get him up against our trio in the top, he kind of runs out of power and just runs out of natural width. But a nice Barra there to be fifth. Young man's Barra entry number 524 is a Barra that kind of gets out-horsed when compared to the ones above him. A Barra that looks to be significantly less in terms of weight, but a Barra that you really have to appreciate for being super square, super sound, super flexible. A Barra that's got a ton of shape when you study him down his top. Very nice set of Barras. Congratulations to those exhibitors.
All right, our next class is individual market barrow heavyweight, and there are 5 entries in this class. The first entry is 527. If you feel at any point that we've seen enough of the video, you can let me know to move on.
Okay. You can go on.
This is entry 584.
I'm good there.
This is entry 699.
Good there.
962.
Okay.
And the final entry for this class is 1117.
Okay. I'm good there.
All right, and here's all 5 entries from this class.
I'm going to start the heavyweight class off with the young man's Barra number 962, the white Barra. I think this Barra just is the better balanced Barra of this class, one that offers you quite a bit of look off from the side, one that's extremely sound and flexible and very comfortable off of both ends. I'd like to see this Barra just a little more opened up. I'd like to see this Barra with a shot more power, but a nice Barra to start off the drive. Young man's belted Barra, entry number 1117, is undoubtedly the power hog of the drive, one that's really, really opened up, has a ton of muscle, a ton of shape, and a ton of power, but one that isn't quite as comfortable when he gets out on the move, one that looks like he's a little more worked up in this video. Therefore, he's trying to labor a little bit more than I would deem ideal on his rear too, but a nice Barra to be second. Barra in third, entry number 527, the white Barra, is a good design, good balance kind of a Barra that reads to be sound and flexible off of both ends. I'd like to see this Barra maybe with a little more shape. I know this video is a little bit fuzzy, so it's kind of hard to see just what kind of shape and what kind of dimension this Barra has working down its top. But a Barra that I read is needing a little more shape, a little more dimension, a little more muscle, but certainly a good balance, good design kind of a Barra. Barra in fourth, entry number 584. A bear that has some power, if you study that one from its chest back, it's opened up. It's got some muscle down its top, but one that I'd like to maybe see a little more up-headed. I think in doing so, this bear would balance out a little bit better and just make everything tie and blend a little bit more to his advantage. Young man's bear rounding out the drive, entry number 699, is a very productive bear that reads to be extremely comfortable off of both ends. A bear that looks like his days on feed is about ideal. Mass is about ideal. A nice kind of a bear to round out the drive.
Okay, now we're going to move to our champion selection.
I'm very, very pleased with the bears that we have here for our champion selection. Bears that I think are sound, functional, have got some mass, have got some product, and some muscle laid in them. Bears that are good in their build, good in their design. Awfully nice set of bears that these young exhibitors have brought out for the virtual show. Really am very disappointed that I wasn't able to see these things live and travel over there and judge these things in person. I think this would have been a very, very nice, very competitive show. There's a couple bears here that I think were in very strong contention. One bear that I saw early in the drive, entry number 635, light cross bear that hit me extremely hard when I saw him here a little while ago. A bear that I really, really appreciate his heaviness and structure and his build, his look, his design. A bear that plants and drives with a ton of authority. And the young lady's bear coming out of the middle division is a bear that puts a lot of good pieces together. A bear that's stout and opened up and wide, still clean and trim about his front end. A bear that's super sound, extremely square, super sound and flexible. A bear that drives with plenty of authority. A bear that handles his mass extremely well. In my mind, I think the bear that's just a little bit more ready today is going to be the young lady's middleweight bear. That's going to be my champion bear. Congratulations to her. Awfully nice bear. I think that is followed closely behind by the lightweight bear. A bear that, again, just hit me extremely hard for his extra heaviness and structure. Just really a big-footed, heavy bone kind of a bear. I like that one an awful lot. And then for third and fourth, in my mind, it gets a little bit closer. I think both of those divisions were extremely tough. But the reserve lightweight bear, to me, is one that just balances up so nice. It's extremely complete. A bear that just blends so well and is so proportionate. Up-headed bear that the young lady just does an absolutely outstanding job driving. I like him to be third, and the young man's reserve middleweight bear will be my fourth place bear. A bear that rivals my champion awfully hard. Like I talked him in division or in class, I think he gets a little bit tighter and a little bit drier right there through the upper part of his rib cage. But a bear that sure offers a lot of positives. Congratulations to those exhibitors. A nice crossbred bear, market bear division here.
And this is our next class, individual market gilt lightweight, and there are 8 entries. This is entry 525, and again, feel free to let me know when you're ready to move on.
Okay. We can go on.
This is entry 706.
Okay.
This is entry 869.
Okay.
This is entry 985.
Maybe she'll get up here where we can see her.
We'll see.
I fast forwarded a little bit. Okay, we can go on to the next one.
This is 1001.
Okay.
This is 1044.
Okay.
This is entry 1203.
Okay.
And this is the last entry for this class, 1333.
Okay.
Here are the first 4 entries of the class. You can begin placing whenever you're ready.
Okay. We're going to do all blue ribbons for these exhibitors. There's one gilt in my mind that makes her way to the top fairly easily. The entry number 1044, young ladies, kind of red-roaned gilt. One that is just super stout and powerful and really opened up. A big square chest, a big blade, big square, heavy muscle, big square top. Got a ton of muscle when you study her going away from you. One that's really, really heavy boned and big footed. One that just handles all that power extremely well. Nice gilt to start off this class with. Young man's gilt in second, I believe entry number 525 is another one that's really heavy muscled. You study this one from the ground up, and she's extremely square. One that I just absolutely love her as she drives at me in terms of her chest floor and how stout and square she is right there at the top of her blade. One that just kind of gets outpowered, gets outsized when you compare her to the young lady's entry right above her. In third, we're going to have entry number 869. Excuse me, entry number 869. Young lady's gilt's a little longer bodied, a little bigger outline than the two above her. One that I think that also hinders her ever so slightly in terms of not having as much mass through the center part of her body. One that is really, really comfortable when you study her as she gets around in the yard. I guess it's in the young lady show ring for the day. Young lady does a great job controlling her. A nice gilt to be third. Fourth, we'll have entry number 985. A gilt that's a little harder to look at as she's a little further away in the video, but once she does make her way up and gets a little closer to the camera, you can see there's a lot of positives to this gilt. A gilt that really balances up extremely well. She's got some substance when you study her up high. She's square and sound and flexible off of both ends. A nice gilt to be fourth. And then the Durock gilt, Durock appearing gilt, entry number 706. Really, really a powerful kind of a female, one that's really, really busted open as she goes away from you, one that's got a great big hip and rump laid in her, one that we just need to see her a little more comfortable as she drives around, one that I'd like to change her angles ever so slightly, give her just a little bit more flex and reach off of those rear two to move her on up, but a nice class of market gilts here.
Our next class is individual market gilt medium weight, and there are 5 entries in this class. And the first entry is entry number 615.
You can skip on.
This is entry 698.
Okay.
Entry 882.
Okay.
This is entry 960. And the last entry of this class is entry 997. And
All right.
here are all 5 entries for this class.
Okay, you guys ready?
Mhm.
I think we have one gilt that surfaces to the top fairly quickly in this particular class. Young ladies entry number 997. A gilt that really hit me hard. It's being one that's opened up, being one that's super correct. You study this gilt coming at you, and she's got a big square chest, big square top. Gilt's got a lot of positives to her, and she handles all her extra mass extremely well. She's extremely square and extremely comfortable off of both ends. Nice gilt to start off the class. Young man in second is going to be entry number 615, kind of a painted up gilt. Gilt that, again, is really opened up, really kind of a thick-ended type of gilt. A gilt that kind of gets outpowered when you start studying her at the ground. A gilt that's not near as big-footed or heavy-boned as our class winner. A gilt that gets a little shorter-sided, maybe a little shorter-fronted when compared to our class winner, but an awfully nice gilt to be second. Young man's gilt in third, entry number 882. Another extremely heavy muscle kind of a gilt. A gilt that's got a big, shapely kind of a top. A gilt that I think gets beat when she drives right at you. She's a little narrower coming. A gilt that's a little bit flatter in terms of her shoulder, in terms of her blade. A gilt that's just not near as powerful, near as square, right there at the top of her shoulder. And a gilt that's a little shorter coupled. I'd like to just see her a little bigger outline to move her on up in the class, but a nice gilt to be third. Young ladies, kind of predominantly white or Yorkshire appearing gilt in fourth. A gilt that offers a lot of positives, a gilt that's got a lot of product laid into her. A gilt that just doesn't balance up quite as well as our trio ahead of her, but a nice gilt to be fourth. Young man's does an excellent job with his red belted gilt here, rounding out the drive. A gilt that's got some product laid in her. A gilt that's extremely sound and flexible off of both ends, but a gilt that gets a little bit plainer in terms of her shape. We just like to give her a shot more muscle when you study her up high, but a nice gilt to round out the drive. Congratulations to those exhibitors. Those will all be blue ribbons as well.
Our next class is individual market gilt heavyweight, and there's only 1 entry in this class. So go ahead and feel free to give your comments on this page.
Okay. Young man's got a single entry here in the heavyweight division. A gilt that could have withstood a little bit of competition. A gilt that looks like she's got some product. She's a big rib, big centered kind of a gilt that reads to be square off of both ends. A gilt that maybe I'd like to see with a little bit more shot, a little bit more shape or another shot of muscle when you study her up high, but a nice gilt in our heavyweight class.
So here are the entries you selected from each of the classes, and we'll do this the same as the last, and place them with the champion, reserve champion. And did you place through 4 in the last one?
I did.
Okay.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
Awfully competitive division of market weight or of market gilts here. I think there's one gilt that hit me extremely hard in class. Young lady out of the middleweight division will have your champion market gilt, a gilt that I think would be extremely competitive in a market show or a breeding show. A gilt that is just bounces up so well, is still opened up, still has a ton of muscle, a ton of center rib. Awfully nice gilt to be champion market gilt here. Young lady out of the light division is going to have our reserve gilt with kind of the red roan gilt, a gilt that just maybe offers a little bit more power just in terms of muscle, in terms of muscle dimension when you study her up high out through her hip and rump. A gilt that's heavy bone, still square. I don't see her quite as comfortable as she drives around here for us today, but an awfully nice gilt to be reserved. I'm going to take the reserve lightweight gilt for third out of the lightweight division. A gilt that just gets outpowered and in terms of weight, in terms of probably in terms of weight per day of age as well. A gilt that's extremely square, extremely flexible. I like a lot of things about that gilt. And then the young man, the reserve middleweight gilt, will be our fourth place gilt. A gilt, like I talked in class, is really opened up, really a thick-ended kind of a gilt that's got a ton of rib and ton of center body. A gilt that just gets outpowered when you study her bone work. A gilt that I'd like to see her just a little bit more massive, how she plants and drives around the yard for this young man. But a nice set of market gilts here today.
Our next class is purebred market barrow and gilt lightweight, and there are 2 entries in this class. The first entry is entry number 707.
Okay.
And the second entry is entry 776.
Okay.
And here are the 2 entries for this class. You can give your placings and ribbons here.
Well, these 2 young ladies definitely bring a solid pair of Durocs for our purebred market class here. I like the young ladies Barra, entry number 776. I think he's a bear that's a little bigger outlined. He's a little longer sided. He's a little more comfortable as he navigates off of his rear too. A bear that's still opened up. He's got some product laid in him, but a bear that I think just balances up a little bit better than the young lady's gilt. That'll be second, entry number 707. A gilt that's really powerful, has a ton of product laid in her. A gilt that's got a big back, big hip, and a big rump. A gilt that's also really heavy bone, a stout featured kind of a gilt, but I read her as being a little quicker in her maturity pattern. I read her as being a little more insecure off of those rear 2. If we could change a few things there, I think she would move on up in this class. But congratulations to both of these young ladies. A nice pair of red hogs here.
The next class is purebred market barrow and gilt medium weight, and there are 4 entries. The first entry is entry number 630.
Good.
The next entry is 965.
Good.
This is entry 1029.
Good.
And this is the last entry for this class, number 1123.
Good.
Okay, here's all 4 entries from this class, and feel free to start your placings when you're ready.
When we get into our middleweight purebred barra class here, and there's 2 barras that I think are awfully competitive, and it's kind of interesting. I've got 2 computer screens where I've got one pulled up on both screens right now, and I keep replaying those videos and just letting these things kind of trot around, letting these young ladies drive these 2 barras around. And I guess that's one advantage from doing a virtual show is they're never gonna tire down. I can watch them as many times as I want. And these things aren't going to change. There's 2 just extremely nice barras here. In my mind, there's one barra that's maybe just got a little bit more to him up high, and that being the young lady's Duroc barra, entry number 630. A barra that is just ultra cool. When you get off and study him on the side, I love the way his head and neck ties into his shoulder. I love the shape that this guy's got when you watch him at every angle. Guy's extremely good off of both ends, just how he plants and drives and how he reaches at all 4 corners. Just a barra that's got a lot of good pieces to him. Really like that barra. Young lady's Yorkshire barra is going to be second, entry number 1029. Another barra that hits me extremely hard. Young lady does a tremendous job of driving this barra. He's up-headed. He's tall-shouldered. A barra that you never get a bad view of him either. A barra that's really square. I love the way he plants and drives on all 4 corners. I maybe read him as being a little bit plainer in terms of his shape when you study him right at the top of his shoulder and all the way back. But a barra that just balances up extremely well. Nice pair of barras to start off our middleweight division here. Young man's red barra in third, entry number 965, is a barra that just ran into a very competitive pair in front of him. A barra that's got a lot of product. A barra that's really opened up. A barra that I don't read maybe is fresh right there at the top side of his excuse me. At the top side of the skeleton is the 2 ahead of him. a bear that's maybe not as secure off his rear two, maybe not as comfortable off of them. If I can fix him in a few of those places, we can move him on up. But a nice red bear to be third. Yorkshire bear rounding out the class in fourth, entry number 1123. Really a good, productive kind of a bear, but a bear that just gets outpowered. A bear that's a little plainer in his shape, a bear that doesn't bounce up quite as good as the three above him. Nice class of middleweight purebred market hogs.
Okay, and this is the purebred market barrow and gilt heavyweight class, and there are 2 entries. The first entry is 988.
Okay.
And the second entry is 1018.
Okay.
And here are the 2 entries from this class, and give your placings when you're ready.
I think we have 2 bears that are extremely similar, extremely close in their composition and in their makeup. I'm going to start with the young lady, entry number 1018, young lady that we saw second here. A bear that I think is a little more comfortable off his rear too, a bear that's got a little bit more flex as he plants and drives and goes away from you. But a nice pair of bears, both bears that have got some product, both bears that have got some mass, bears that are big in terms of their center body. Ladies do an excellent job with these 2 bears and have done an excellent job getting them to this point. Congratulations to them.
All right, here we have all 6 entries from our purebred classes. And go ahead and begin your placings when you're ready.
Are those on my end as well?
They should be, yes. This is back in the champion PowerPoint.
Okay, we get into our heavyweight division, or sorry, our champion overall purebred market division here. And I think there's one division that hit me extremely hard, the middleweight division. Young ladies, Duroc Bear is going to be your champion, a bear that really hit me hard in terms of being really good in his design, really good in his balance. He's really an up-headed kind of a bear that's super square off of both ends. Love the way his front end is put together. A nice bear to be champion. Congratulations to her. Young lady with the Yorkshire bear really rivaled that bear awfully hard. He's going to be your reserve. I love that bear's design. I love the tallness to his shoulder. Young lady does an absolutely outstanding job keeping that head up and keeping that bear moving. Congratulations to her. Third, I'm going to pull the Duroc bear out of our light division. Really a stout, heavy bone bear that handles that extremely well. And then I'll go to our heavy division for our 4th overall. Another bear that's really opened up. And within that division, that bear was just a little bit sounder and a little more comfortable off the rear too. Congratulations to those young ladies on their purebred market projects. Well, I'd just like to start by saying congratulations to these exhibitors in the market division. I really am happy with the trio that we've got here. The champion market bear is one that's just really a robust kind of a bear. Really opened up, ton of center rib, heavy bone, and he's still sound and square and flexible off of both ends. Really like that bear a bunch. Young lady with the champion market gilt, a gilt that hit me extremely hard. She's one that's really opened up. She's a thick-ended kind of a gilt, got a big square top, really, really big-chested when she drives right at you. A young lady does an excellent job of presenting this gilt. A gilt that's really, really up-headed. Just a lot of things that you really, really have to like about this gilt. And then the young lady's purebred market animal, which was the purebred Duroc Barra, a Barra that hit me extremely hard. One that's just super, super attractive when you get off to the side. Really an up-headed kind of a Barra. One that's extremely fresh about its appearance. One that's extremely sound and flexible off of both ends. Nice, nice set of market animals here for the show today. In my mind, I think there's one that's maybe just a little bit more ideal in terms of being right there at market weight. One that I believe I said in division would be extremely competitive, whether it was in a market division or a breeding division, and that's the young lady's champion market gilt. Congratulations to her. She's going to have your champion market hog, and I'm going to follow that with a Barra that just hit me so hard. The young lady's champion purebred will be your reserve. Congratulations to her. The champion market Barra is going to be our third overall. A Barra that's just extremely big and robust. Really a heavy bone, stout structured kind of a Barra. Nice Barra to be third overall. And then for our fourth overall, we'll go with the reserve purebred Yorkshire that was another one that hit me extremely hard. Another one that's really, really good design, really attractive on the profile, really an up-headed, tall-shouldered kind of a Barra that as I talked in division, I thought he could use just a little bit more shape, just a little bit more expression when you study him up high. Congratulations to those exhibitors.
And we're going to start our second division with breeding hogs. And the first class is, okay, here's entry 638.
Hey, before we get too far into this is the purebred breeding, right? Did I see that
Yes.
on the slide? Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Okay.
The next entry is 772.
Okay.
781.
Okay.
860.
Okay.
1111.
Okay.
And the last entry is 1118.
Okay.
So these are the 6 entries from the breeding purebred class, and these 6 will also be used to select your champion and reserve champion purebred breeding. So you can do both of that here on this slide. So the placings that you give will just act as the champion and reserve champion.
Okay. In our purebred breeding gilt division here, I think we've got an awfully nice set of purebred gilts here. I think there's 2 that are very, very competitive here towards the top. And I believe it's the same, sorry. Can I start that over? I'm confused.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here. This is different looking at computers versus looking at them in a show. Okay. As we get into our purebred breeding gilt division here, we've got 2 gilts that really surfaced at the top. 2 gilts that are extremely nice, but a little bit different in terms of their composition. I like the young lady's Yorkshire gilt here to start off the drive. One that's really, really opened up. One that gives me a good view as she drives at me in terms of being extremely square from the ground up. She's extremely square from the top of her shoulder and all the way back, all the way down her back. A gilt that's really, really opened up when you study her right there through the center part of her body. A gilt that's heavy boned, square, and extremely flexible off of both ends. I really like this Yorkshire gilt to start off this drive. Congratulations to that young lady for having the champion purebred breeding gilt here today. Young lady in second or reserve is the Duroc gilt entry number 638, possibly a litter mate to the purebred market Barra, the champion purebred market Barra. A gilt that reminds me a lot of that Barra that hit me so hard earlier in our show here. A gilt that, to me, I would like to see her just a little bit bolder right there through the center part of her body, maybe a little bit further along in terms of her maturity pattern. I would assume she's probably a little bit younger than our champion Duroc or our champion Yorkshire, but a gilt that's got the same kind of look and design. A gilt that's really up-headed, really tall-shouldered, really, really square, fluid and flexible off of both ends. Really, really like this young lady's Duroc gilt to be in reserve. Congratulations to her. Young lady with the next Duroc gilt, entry number 860, will be our 3rd place purebred gilt. Gilt that's really opened up. She's really stout featured. She's heavy boned. She's got some width and some power off of both ends. A gilt that I would like to see balance up just a little bit better up through the front 1/3 of her body. A gilt that I'd like to see her a little bit more comfortable off of both ends, but a nice gilt to be 3rd. Young lady's Hampshire gilt here in 4th. A gilt that balances up extremely well. A gilt that's extremely complete in terms of her design. She's really good at her angles, really good off of both ends. A gilt that I'd just like to give a shot more power and a shot more muscle. I'd like to just open her up a little bit all the way through to make her a little bit more competitive and move her on up in our show. The Hampshire appearing gilt in 5th, entry number 1118, is a gilt that balances up extremely well. A gilt that I'd like to be able to just get the camera a little bit further away from her so I can really tell how she's built and how she moves off of both ends. But a gilt that appears to balance up extremely well. A gilt that you would have to really look a little hard to try to find a hole in, but a gilt that maybe we just need to give her a little bit more of the plus to move her on up. And our gilt rounding out the drive is one I'd just like to balance up a little bit better. Maybe give a shot more expression, a shot more muscle when you study her up high. But a nice class to these purebred breeding gilt exhibitors. Congratulations to them.
Okay, and here is our next class, the crossbred.
Can we pause for a second? Sorry. Can I just go back? Which one was number 1? What entry number?
Entry 781.
And then number 4?
Number 4 is 1118.
Okay. Awesome.
I thought you had listed 1118 as your 5th place. Maybe I heard incorrectly.
It should have been
that's
fourth place. I might have said that.
Okay, so
Oh, I did. I got my numbers wrong. Sorry. 772 is fourth.
yes, okay, that's what I thought it was.
Sorry about that. That is what I said because that's what I had written down.
Okay.
Not
Awesome.
entry numbers.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll move on. Our next class is crossbred breeding guilds. There are 8 entries, and our first entry is 526.
Okay.
This is entry 642.
Okay.
Entry number 700.
Okay.
Entry 761.
Okay.
Entry 951.
Okay.
Entry 969.
Okay.
Entry 1003.
Okay.
And the last entry for this class is 1225.
Okay.
These are the first 4 entries for this class. And again, your placings for this class will act as a champion and reserve champion
Okay.
for the breeding.
This is it then, right?
We have this and then our overall breeding, and then we're done.
Okay. Perfect.
So, and if you want me to go on to the next screen, I guess you're looking at your own screen, but there's
Right.
this slide of 4 and another slide of 4. So whenever you're ready to do your champion and reserve, just go ahead and start.
Okay. I think we've got a nice class of commercial breeding gilts here. I think there's two that really make their way to their top fairly easily in my mind. Young lady with entry number 641 is going to have the one that starts off this drive, a gilt that just balances up exceptionally well. She's tall shouldered, she's long and extended up through her front end. A gilt that's really, really heavy boned and big footed and square and sound and flexible off of both ends. A gilt that's got plenty of power when you study her up high. A gilt that's really, really square coming and going. Awfully nice crossbred commercial gilt here to lead off this drive. Young lady with the gilt that's going to be second here is entry number 1225. Another gilt that hit me extremely hard. She came into this class, a gilt that if she goes away from you, as she's going away from you, she's probably a little more opened up than my class winner. I think my class winner just balances up a little bit better up through her front 1/3. A gilt that's this gilt in second is another one that is really, really square off of both ends. I love the look that she gives you from the side, one that's really, really square at the top side of her skeleton. Awfully nice pair of gilts to be 1 and 2 here in our commercial breeding gilt class. Painted up gilt here in third, entry number 969. Young man does a tremendous job driving this gilt. A gilt that's really, really opened up. A gilt that's probably a little stouter and a little wider than the 2 gilts in my ahead of her here. A gilt that's a little more coupled up in terms of her front end design. A gilt that's a little more jammed up there. A gilt that isn't quite as elevated as the 2 ahead of her either. I'd like to see her just a little bigger outlined. I'd like to see her a little heavier bone to maybe match up with her mass a little bit better, but a nice gilt to be third. Gilt that's going to be in fourth, entry number 951. Young man does a tremendous job driving this gilt. This gilt's extremely powerful as she drives away from you. One with a great big hip and rump. One that's heavy boned. I read her as kind of throwing those back wheels just a little bit outside of her skeleton, a little more than what I would deem ideal. A gilt that's really got a big back and a ton of center body, but again, I read her also as maybe getting a little bit softer in terms of her top line. A gilt that maybe if we mellowed her out just a little bit, maybe we would kind of fix that top line issue a little bit, maybe even make her a little more comfortable off of her rear too. But certainly a nice gilt to be fourth. Gilt in fifth, entry number 526 is one that just ran into an awfully solid set of gilts ahead. Excuse me, ahead of them there in this drive. Young lady does a tremendous job. This gilt balances up extremely well. She's got a lot of interesting pieces to her, but a gilt that we just need a little more time on feed to get her up there and get her running against those gilts that are significantly bigger than her here at the start of this class. But a nice gilt to be fifth. Gilts on down the line, we just need to see with a little more power. We need to see them balance up a little bit better. But these exhibitors do a tremendous job of getting those animals presented. Congratulations to them.
And these are 4 entries from purebred breeding gilt and crossbred breeding gilt.
Congratulations to these young ladies driving our champion crossbred breeding gilt and our champion purebred breeding gilt. Excellent pair of gilts here. excellent set of gilts with the reserves out here within their respective divisions as well. These young ladies do an excellent job of getting these animals presented, and you can tell that there's a lot of work that have gone into these projects. And that work is definitely paying off as these gilts are presented extremely well. Both of these gilts hit me extremely hard within their division. I think there's one gilt maybe that just takes another step out in terms of being extremely unique in her design, in her build, in her look, in her balance. Young lady with the champion crossbred gilt is going to have your champion breeding gilt overall. Congratulations to her on an exceptional gilt. I think for reserve, it gets a little bit closer with our reserve crossbred gilt. Another one that hit me extremely hard in class. A gilt that rivaled the champion crossbred gilt exceptionally well. Between her and the Yorkshire gilt, I think there's a few slight differences. I think in terms of mass, in terms of bone work and foot size, I think we're on a pretty level playing field. Both of those gilts are extremely good in those areas. I think the crossbred gilt might balance up just a little bit better for me today. Might offer a little bit more eye appeal when you get off to the side of her in terms of being an extremely up-headed level design kind of a gilt. She's going to follow our champion, and she'll be your reserve breeding gilt, and then our purebred gilt will be your very close third. A gilt that, again, I like exceptionally well for being really opened up, really square. Excellent job to these young ladies. Congratulations to everybody that exhibited, and thank you for having me today.
We would like to thank our judge, our 4-H and FFA exhibitors, their families, our volunteers, our staff, and our 2020 4-H Fair recognition and trophy donors. Thank you for watching.